Hey guys, I'm Kendra.
Hi, I'm Mercedes, and this week we're talking about the most iconic movie musical, Grease. Oh, I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. But before we begin, guys, we'd like to dedicate this episode to Olivia Newton-John, who passed away on Monday, August 8th. Thank you for giving us one of the best musicals of all time that will impact generations to come.
Yes,
But
we are sending love to all her fellow fans
yeah,
and loved ones. And it's honestly wild timing because we already had this episode scheduled prior. So over the weekend, we were watching it. So we were already like in the mindset of raving about Grease anyway and really
yeah,
like soaking in Olivia Newton-John's impact. So this is just a really special one.
it is a really special one. We're very excited. But first, Mercedes, we have to kick it off with our celebrity crush of the week. Who are you crushing on this week?
So mine is Chris Messina for no particular
Stop.
reason. He's just so
He's so hot, but he stays hot, like,
I
consistently
know.
over
Yeah.
over decades, he stays hot. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is this man? What is he?
Oh my God. I frequently rewatch The Mindy Project, as you know, and every time I'm just like, man, he's just beautiful.
Have you seen his, like, indie projects?
I've seen some of them and like consistently through the decades, he's just so good looking.
Just so good looking. Also, all of his indie projects, like, are all on Hulu. I think Hulu just really likes him too. Hulu also has a crush on Chris
Hell
Messina,
yeah.
so,
He does.
he's so fine. I love your choice this week, Mercedes. You made me happier than my
Thank you.
choice
Thank you.
this week.
Who's your choice?
Okay, so it's Will Poulter. I don't know if you've seen him
Mm.
recently, but
Yeah.
Homeboy got buff. Homeboy got in shape.
Huge.
He is huge now, and it's so weird because there's so many photos on the internet of a side by side between him and like the vacation movie that he did,
Yeah.
or the Miller Family Vacation. What was that family that
We're
movie
the
with, like,
Millers.
Jeffrey
We're the
Aniston?
Millers.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then like him now, and I'm like, he is literally night and day. Like somehow he got buff and he got more tan. I don't know. He's just
He definitely has the spray tan going on. Like he's a little orange.
he's a little orange, but it's so funny. So here's the thing. He may have a girlfriend, and I'm pretty sure she's black. And yes, I'm super sad about the fact that he has a girlfriend, but I just feel like when one black woman wins, we all win. So I am not
Hell
even
yeah.
mad. I'm like, you get yourself a black girl. There you go.
Yes, we love it.
We love it. We love a good interracial relationship. Guys, we're gonna move over to TLDR. We like to recap the movie for anyone who hasn't seen it. Warning, there are spoilers ahead. If you haven't seen Grease, there is literally no hope for you. But also, you can watch it on Paramount Plus. Take it away, Mercedes.
Yes, so it's the summer of 1958. Danny Zuko, played by John Travolta, and Sandy Olsen, played by Olivia Newton-John, meet at the beach and fall in love. She's visiting from Australia, and they must end the summer romance before she leaves. Danny assures her that it's just the beginning for them before they part ways, and boy was he right.
Mhm.
Now school is back in session, and Danny's greaser gang, the T-Birds, Kaniki, Doody, Sunny, and Putzi, it's crazy, the funniest names, are reunited at Rydell High, along with the girl crew, the Pink Ladies, Marty, Jan, Frenchie, and Rizzo. And they're all ready to rule the school. Unexpectedly, Sandy enrolls at Rydell and befriends Frenchie, and has no clue Danny is at the same school. As Frenchie tries to have Sandy join the Pink Ladies, her friends are hesitant because of her sweet and wholesome look. But when they learn of her summer romance with Danny, they arrange the two to reunite, but it all goes wrong because Danny is acting differently in front of his friends. While Sandy tries to move on and date a jock, Danny's guilt builds and he tries to slowly change his persona to be who Sandy wants him to be. All the while, the rest of the group have their own dramas like a pregnancy scare, beef with the rival greaser gang, and dropping out of school. Sandy hasn't gotten over Danny and goes to the school dance with him, where she's pushed to the sidelines when a girl from Danny's past steals him on the dance floor. Danny tries to apologize at the drive-in, but ends up making things much worse, and Sandy ends the relationship. Now it's the day of the T-Birds car race against their rival gang, and Danny ends up having to drive the car. Sandy lovingly watches from afar as Danny celebrates his win, and then asks Frenchie to help her change her style. On the last day of school, Danny shows up at the senior carnival in a Letterman sweater to impress Sandy, and Sandy ends up shocking everyone with the most iconic makeover ever, and the two are now back together and ride off into the sky in love.
In love. This is a 1978 movie written by Jim Jacobs, Warren Casey, Bronte Woodard, and Alan Carr, with the latter also producing Grease 2. It's directed by Randall Kleiser, who also produced The Blue Lagoon.
Ooh.
I know. You know what's so funny about the ending of this movie is like Danny changes to impress Sandy, and Sandy changes to impress Danny. And once he sees her, he's like, "Oh, I guess I don't have to do this anymore." Like
Yeah, immediately takes it off.
he's like abort mission. Like
I love when he's just like, because he has like the greaser base foundation outfit on and then the Letterman sweater. And that
Yeah.
blend to me is just so perfect. Oh my God.
It's a vibe. It's a vibe
Oh
nowadays.
yeah. I like this man. I have much to say about him later.
I
And I don't know, like this movie's so crazy. Did you know the soundtrack was the second best-selling album of 1978 and beat out for the #1 spot by the soundtrack of John Travolta's 1977 film Saturday Night Fever?
That's so funny. I actually read that he started filming Grease like something like 3 days after he wrapped Saturday Night Fever.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
They were
He
like
was
back to back.
dancing all over the place.
I mean, he was already like in shape, might as well just like keep going, instead of having to train all over again.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Amazing. So Rizzo's my favorite character, and the hickeys that she has on her neck are real. Jeff Conaway, who played Kaneki, insisted on implying them himself. How
Of
funny is
course.
that? Such a
She
player.
really got a hickey from Kaneki.
Yeah.
Living the dream.
They were real. They were real.
So, Hopelessly Devoted to You was actually nominated for Best Original Song at the Academy Awards. And I just learned this a couple days ago that Olivia Newton-John was sick when she had to perform it at the award show, and she still gave a stunning performance, even though she had a 102-degree fever.
You know what's crazy too is I actually read that this song was written and recorded and filmed after the movie had already wrapped. I think
my
like
God.
Olivia Newton-John went back and like made a case that she needed to have her own song. And so one of the writers like went and like worked on that song or something along those lines, which is crazy. So that the fact that it
And
was
it's
nominated
the
for an Oscar.
best song.
It is very
Oh,
cute. It is very cute.
love it.
It's also funny that most of the cast were in their 30s while filming. Mercedes,
So
I
old.
want this elixir that everyone is drinking to make them look like high school students in their 30s because there's no
But
way
they
that
don't
fly
look
with
like
me.
high school students. Sunny has a like full on like 30-plus-year-old afternoon shadow on his face.
He does. He does.
Ah, he's so old.
He is very old. I also found out that the cast, like the entire cast, chewed 100,000 pieces of gum during the shoot, which was about 5,000 pieces a day. Like if you
Oh my
notice, everyone is
God.
always like smacking their gum in every scene. I'm like, it makes
I love
sense.
it.
It makes sense.
That's crazy.
It is very crazy. All right, guys, we're gonna move over to Time Capsule Mercedes, and I just like to recap where we were when we first watched this movie, which I definitely watched this in elementary school. I know that I did.
Yeah.
I know that I did. This may have been one of the first musicals that I ever saw, which was great because I got really into musical theater in high school and did it for 3 years. And I feel like I definitely watched it more then, in high school. But yeah, this is a classic for any musical theater geek in high school.
Yeah. So I've been watching this movie since before I can remember. Like truly, it was my first ever favorite movie. Danny Zuko was my first ever crush. I remember being
Aw.
like, I had to be like 4, maybe even 3 years old, being like truly crushing on this man. I thought he was just perfect. And I remember like bringing the VHS to daycare and reciting the lines and memorizing the songs. And it's just like so attached to all my childhood memories because I just watched it all the time. I even had like a karaoke machine that I would like only exclusively sing the Grease songs to. And I would like listen to it in the car, and my mom would be like, okay, that's fine. Just like don't sing these at school. Just like these are not appropriate at school. And I always just think of like watching it with my family members and making them like rewind scenes for me so I could recite it with the actors. And it's just, gosh, this movie is so special to me.
Mercedes, you have such a good memory of your childhood. Tell me why I remember nothing. I think I have like selective memory loss or something. Because you are like, you're always like, yeah, this is what I was doing. My mom said this and I got this and it was this color and it was during this time. I'm like, you have such a good memory of your childhood. I could never I don't remember anything. Like,
I have a good memory, and then there's certain years where I'm just blank on, and then I'm like, what happened during that? Like, what was going on? Because I have such a good memory that like I should remember this.
yeah, my goodness. I'm very impressed. I'm like on track for like early onset dementia. I cannot remember.
No.
Um, but it's so funny because both of us like were not born yet when this movie came out. But I
Oh, yeah.
feel like this movie came out in 1978. Who would have been your celebrity crush during that time?
John Travolta
Yeah.
completely has my heart, and then probably Harrison Ford.
Mm.
And I've talked about this before, young Al Pacino was so hot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, Mercedes, we are aligned on that. That is a whole thing happening on TikTok right now. It's like young Al Pacino.
Yes. Beautiful, beautiful man.
Beautiful. Okay, mine would have been Dustin Hoffman and Robert De Niro actually, because that was like Raging Bull, Deer Hunter era, and then also like The Graduate too, just like came out like late 60s or
Yeah.
early 70s. I don't know. I feel like I would have just loved them. Also, Dustin Hoffman just used to have the smile to die for, to
I mean,
absolutely
there were
die for.
so many hotties, like Paul
Yeah.
Newman, Robert
Uh,
Redford, but they were already like older by 78. They were like in their 50s. So
Clint Eastwood, young Clint Eastwood was very fine.
he's never been the vibe for me.
Oh wow, okay, okay,
Yeah.
respect,
I
respect.
respect you. I respect you.
Guys, it's time for the Rom-Com Hall of Fame. But of course, Mercedes, we gotta roast this movie as much as we love it. I just feel like I got some things to say.
There's a lot to roast.
The lingo used here is just so weird. And I think what is so funny about the concept of linguistics is the fact that there is a time in which most of the United States spoke a certain word. And then there is another point in time where there's a generation that's never even heard of that word. I feel like that just
Yeah.
blows my mind. You know?
Especially with a movie like this, because I think some slang, I'm like, okay, well, was this like, is because obviously this is like a very like romanticized, fantastical version of like what the 50s were. And it was
Mhm.
made in the 70s. So I'm like, okay, is this 70s slang that just like
Mm.
got thrown into the screenplay? Or is this 50s slang? Or is this just like made up 50s slang?
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is like what they would have said ideally. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. What's your roast?
Oh my god. So obviously like my first roast is just like changing yourself to impress or please a guy is just not
Mm.
okay. But also like her outfit at the end is so iconic and she looks like a literal Barbie. Like truly Barbie was probably modeled after Olivia Newton-John.
You think so?
I mean, like every time I look at her I'm like that's a Barbie.
Yeah.
So I'm like I have to accept the makeover, you know? Like obviously like in my heart I'm like, yeah, you don't need to change yourself that drastically for anybody.
I
But at the end of the day, you look glamorous.
I have a question for you, Mercedes. So, at the end of the movie, obviously, yes, Sandy changes for Danny, but she's also like, listen, you got to step up because this is a type
Yeah.
of that I need. She set expectations. What do you think about in that situation of like her not still being like, yeah, I'm going to change for you and also just let you treat me however you want? It's like, no, I'm going to change for you, but you need to change for me. Like, she's also requiring him to change. She's like, you need to step up. You need to be better.
I mean, that's on him to follow through because is he really listening when he's singing along?
That's very true. That is very true. Okay. I don't know if you noticed this. This movie's very, very bright. It's very bright on screen
Oh,
when you watch
white?
this. There are no black people in here. There are. I don't even think. I think is Cha Cha supposed to be Latinx?
She is. And that my next criticism goes along with what you're saying too.
Yeah. It just. I feel like not even the extras in the dancing sequences. No one is
No.
black, and this is after integration. So
Yeah.
like, why is your high school still so very, very white? I think there's one black guy during who's playing in the band during the dance competition. He's like carrying the load for the rest of us because we don't see another one before or after that.
Only one. No, like it is such a white movie. And with such a large cast, you'd think, like, come on, like not even your like the background people, nobody. Like
Mhm.
that's very sad. But I don't know. Like again, it was the 70s, so on-screen representation wasn't really a thought crossing people's minds a lot of but at the same time, it's like, come on.
Or it
I
took
don't know.
place in the 50s, right? Because you said that at the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess that makes sense. If it took place in the 50s, still.
Yeah. And it's just like literally the only non-white representation slightly is Cha-Cha. And then she's like the sexualized villain. So you're just like, okay, this is
Yep.
what we have, this movie.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
breadcrumb.
It's just one. I feel like I've been saying this as much as I love Rizzo. It's crazy how every high school movie had to have like the designated slut, essentially. Like
Yeah.
someone always got knocked up or slept around. And it's a trope that pretty much all rom-coms had at the time. And I'm really happy that rom-coms no longer have that trope because I don't think it's necessary at all.
I
I
don't know, like, everyone's high school experiences are so different, and what I love about Rizzo is that she really takes, like, command over her own sexuality, which I obviously isn't the case for a lot of young girls. A lot of that is, like, pushed upon you and, like, pressured upon you. So, that's what I really love about Rizzo, like, she is a really just, like, strong character, despite being, like, over sexualized through this whole movie.
Mhm.
So, yeah, and I mean, like, I don't know, high school. It's just, like,
Wasn't doing
that's
any of this stuff in high school. I had a very
I
different
mean, neither was I, but it doesn't mean it wasn't happening, and I like, so many of my friends, you know? So it's just, like, of it's just part of the part of the experience for some people. Um, another thing I have to say about this movie is there's just a lot of instances where, like, consent is just, like, a joke, and, like, a lot of just, like, rape culture comes into lyrics, like in Summer Lovin'. A lot of comments from the T-Birds, especially, and then, like, Danny at the drive-in, like, he literally sings a whole ballad because Sandy won't hook up with him. I'm like, "Okay, I love this I love that song."
Yeah,
But, like, dramatic. And then
yeah,
he's just like, "Why'd you leave?" It's like, "You know why she left, because she was saying no and you were still persisting." Like,
yeah.
come on.
I mean, that's another rose, it's just, like, the amount of peer pressure in this movie, like, the amount of peer pressure and bullying, like, I'm very sensitive to bullying, being
Yeah.
bullied in high school, but, like, the peer pressure, like, the pressure to drink and to smoke and to have sex, I just really hope, um it's funny, I was talking to my aunt who has kids in high school recently, she was just telling me that, like, what I experienced in high school is not really what's happening in, like, high schools anymore. That was, like, her take on it, of, like, the crazy lengths that people would go to, like, bully people, because I'm really hoping that this new generation takes mental health, like, and kindness to heart, and just, like, bullying and peer pressure could just be eradicated because everyone finally realizes, "That's not cool, we shouldn't be doing that. This causes
Yeah.
trauma, and, like, we should not be causing trauma to people at this
And just,
age."
like, harm, like, why are you actively trying to harm people?
Yeah, exactly. It's a whole thing. Um, and I'm curious, Mercedes, because I know we had different high school experiences, but did you ever feel like you were pressured into doing anything?
I mean, I really stood my ground, like, I was invited to the parties, but I wasn't drinking, I wasn't, like, doing drugs, you know? And I, like, went to, like, a really small school anyway, and I don't know, I think I was just, like I was so anxious and, like, I just never wanted to disappoint, like, the adults in my life, whether that be, like, my family or, like, my teachers or anybody, and also, like, my friend group, we were just having fun doing our thing, so it would, like, didn't even really cross our minds to be like, "Should we do this stuff?" Because like, we were just so, like, happy just together
Yeah.
that I don't know, like, so I don't really think I ever felt pressured, and also, like, I think I had a pretty, like, healthy experience where, like, I my friends who were doing those things weren't necessarily pressuring me. I did have one friend who would, like, drive by my house, like, every Friday and be like, "Let's go to a party," and I'd be like, I'm locking the doors. You are not being let in. I'm not going with you," 'cause I just knew that it was gonna end up bad if I was
Yeah.
to go with her. But, like, but, like, no one was really pressuring me to do things, which I am really happy about because I know that happens to a lot of people. What about you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like everything. So I wasn't going to the parties, um, when I was in high school, but I was just made fun of a lot for just looking different. Like, my lips have always been this size. There is since birth, and that's hard when you're, like, lips are this
And
big
they're
and you have to, like
beautiful.
thank you, but you have to, like, grow into them, so I got teased a lot for that. I remember, I think I've told this story before, but, like, my best friend in middle school, Tyler, I went to his birthday party every single year, and freshman year, I had to go to church camp the same weekend that he had his birthday party, and everyone in school went because he was, like, on the football team and he started to become popular, and I heard that, like, at the party, there were, like, 8 guys on the football team, and they all put pillows on their back and walked around and said that they were me, and I came back to school on Monday, and, like, everyone it was literally like a movie moment where, like, everyone at school was, like, pointing at me and, like, snickering and, like, laughing and things like that, and I was finally like, "What the hell happened?" And then this girl who just had such a big mouth in high school and, like, just talked so much crap, she told me, like, what happened. It was just so
Oh
embarrassing, and
my God.
I, like, never talked to him again after that, and he was my best friend for, like, 3 years.
No,
And I
that's
was like
horrible, and that's
I know.
traumatizing, and it's just so unnecessary and so uncalled for, like, why? Like, there's such a difference between, like, I don't know, like, talking shit with your friends about people who are annoying at school versus, like, truly just being cruel for no reason. Like, that is so unnecessary and just so vile. Ugh, God. And I know bullying was happening at my school too. Like, there was a whole Facebook group for, like, one girl to, like, just, like, hate on every post she made,
Oh, no.
from a different grade, but I definitely remember that she got, like, a lot of scrutiny for, like,
Mhm.
random things too, but, like, no one knew who was, like, really doing it, and I don't know, like, I went to such, like, kind of like a hippy-dippy school that they were just like, "Let's talk it out." Like, no
Yeah.
one was like they were just like, we're family, guys." You're like, "Okay, settle down."
Your friend group sounds like just because we did this episode already on Love, Simon, it feels like your friend group was very much had that same dynamic that they do in Love, Simon.
Like, always together.
Always together, everyone's just happy to be together, everyone's just, like, content. I don't know.
I mean, there were, like, definitely times where people were, like, breaking down, but it was mainly when, like, it was just, like, hormone time, and people were like, "Oh my God, like, leave me alone." But, like, overall, we were, like, attached to the hip. I was, like, probably at their houses every weekend
Yeah.
and, like, just sleepovers all the time, and, like, we called ourselves the nerd herd, you know? Like, we were just, like, silly and, like, fun.
I love that. I hope everyone has friends like that in
I
high
know, I
school.
hope so.
Tell me what your favorite quote is from this movie.
I have 2, but I mean,
Okay.
my I love all the quotes in this movie, but obviously, like, "Tell me about it, stud."
Yeah.
Like, can you name a better, like, iconic line? I was doing that in preschool, reciting that all the time.
Oh,
I loved
stop.
it.
Are you serious? In that voice?
Yes,
With that
yes,
voice? Yeah.
yes, I do it all the time. I was like, "She's the coolest. She has all the power. I wanna be her."
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
my other one is Frenchie's quote where she's comforting Sandy. She's like, "Men are rats. Listen to me. They're fleas on rats. Worse than that. They're amoebas on fleas on rats." I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, sometimes it's true.
Yeah, for she's so sweet. I really like her. I really like her beauty school dropout song. Like, that's
Oh my gosh, so
one
good.
one of my favorites. I this line is not funny, but the way that Marty says it is always so funny. Every time we're at the sleepover scene where Sandy's at Rizzo's house and Frenchie is trying to pierce her ears, Frenchie's like, can we have water or towel?" And then Marty just goes, "Why don't you just let the cold water run and stick her ear under the faucet?" Like, I don't know, the way that she says it is
Yes.
so funny.
Marty is so underrated. She's my favorite pink lady. I think all of her
Mm,
outfits are perfect. And then when she's at the dance and she's talking to Vince Fontaine and she's just like,
yeah.
"My name's Marty,
Mhm.
maraschino, like the cherry." And you're like, yes, yes, iconic.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you. Yes. All right.
Wait,
So,
what's your favorite sorry, before we go on, what's your favorite song? I need to know.
oh, okay, okay. My favorite song is Sandra Dee. Like, I love the "Look at me, I'm Sandra Dee." I just every time Rizzo goes into it, I am up and dancing and just like doing like the Elvis, Elvis.
Yes.
Like, I love that whole part. What is you've said some songs that you like, but what is your all-time favorite song?
So it changes. I think when I
Yeah.
was younger, I loved Summer Lovin', and
Mhm.
now I think just, like, Hopelessly Devoted to is so heart-wrenchingly beautiful, and I listen to it I belt it in the car often,
Mhm.
and I just think it's the one that, like, sticks with you, but also, like, yeah, I think I would have to say that one, but I
Yeah.
could go on and on about the whole soundtrack, really.
It's a good one. It's a good one, which leads to my next question. If this movie
Uh,
popped up on your Tinder feed, are you swiping left or are you swiping right?
I'm swiping right forever. This is one of my favorite movies of all time and truly just, like, an iconic film. It had a major impact on so many generations, like, look at us, like, we were born, like, 20 years after this came out, and we're
Yeah.
still raving about it, And it just that's what makes it so special, and this movie is so nostalgic for people, and we grew up watching it, so it's nostalgic for us, like, watching it when we were young, but it's also nostalgic for the time that it came out when it was in the '70s portraying this, like, very fantastical, romanticized version of the '50s,
Mhm.
and so it just holds this nostalgia in it that's carried through the whole movie, and I just think that's so incredible that it can capture that, and I don't know, just that it has such a wide audience for decades, and it's such a fun movie with obvious flaws that we discussed,
Yeah.
and Danny Zuko is, like, my crush forever, I cannot explain or, like, emphasize so much, as, like, just the impact he made on me. Like,
Yes.
truly, the first crush ever, impact.
Impact, absolutely. You are totally right. I am swiping all the way right on this movie. This movie is always a good time. The songs are so lively and fun, and the dancing is spot on. And this is just like a family favorite. I feel like there are so many songs on the soundtrack here where you could start singing it at a party and everyone will join in. Everyone just knows it. Like everyone, and it's so fun. It's like this movie has been such a connector like through generations of connecting people and bringing people together and bringing smiles on people's faces. So I'm very, very grateful for this movie. It is a good time.
Yes. Oh, so special.
So good. Guys, we're gonna move over to couples therapy. We like to give dating advice for the couples on how they can improve their relationship. And I know you have a lot, Rizzo. I'll let you go first. You go first this time.
My main thing is obviously just, like, don't change your whole personality for a guy or for
Mm-mm.
anyone just to win their attention or affection, especially someone who has consistently disappointed you for, like, months. Um, and so I think that's just, like, the the one I wanna emphasize the most, and with Danny, he's so interesting because he knows his friends are, like, such losers, but he also, like, desperately wants their approval and praise, which is why, like, he doesn't wanna risk it with Sandy for so long. Um, and I just think, like, get over it, I don't know, your friends are annoying anyway, and, like, you know that they're dumb.
Mhm.
Like
I 100% agree with you. Like, don't and like also too, don't give in to peer pressure to fit in with friends and don't
Yeah.
ever let a man disrespect you because that will set a precedent. Mercedes, I need to tell you this story because I even just thinking about it now, I'm heated. And I cannot properly place my anger, but this is what happened. I've been thinking a lot about what it means to set precedents in relationships. Um, and what that means is I came across this article in the New York Times that I just have to talk about because like I said, I'm so angry. This woman, she is 34 years old. She has her master's. She has like a good life. She's on Hinge and she meets this 44-year-old man. And they like talk for a little bit and then decide to set up a date. He cancels on her twice. On the 3rd attempt, they finally meet up and he takes her to Popeyes on their first date.
Mm.
And I guess they had, like, a good conversation because she was like, "Oh, we're gonna get married, right?" And he just, like, couldn't see it at the time. He ends up, like, 6 months later, like, she sets this precedent, she's like, "Listen, if we're gonna do this, this is how the timeline is gonna be." She sets a precedent. He moves in with her 6 months later because she has her own place, she has her own job, and then his friend buys an engagement ring, like, he didn't even buy an engagement ring for her, proposes, and they get married. And the caption on this freaking photo that the man posted from their wedding day. Like when normal people get married, they're like, "Oh, I can't believe I married my best friend. This is the best day of my life. I love you so much. You're beautiful. I can't wait to do life with you." Like things like that. This man, his caption was, "Met on Hinge and the rest was history. Never had any pressure to take her on fancy dates or treat her nicely. Like just good old like alignment on goals and values."
Oh
And
my
the internet
god.
has been blowing up.
Wait,
The
is this the caption that was just like, "You're not the prettiest or the smartest,
No,
but"
I know what
oh
you're
my
talking
god.
about though.
That was another one that I was like, "These men are
That's
bogus."
the internet is going wild because everyone is like, first of all, if a man cancels on you twice, you're not getting a third chance. And it's also
Uh,
the fact that like this is evident of like a low effort man getting married finally. Like there is nothing worse on this planet than a man who absolutely does not need effort and a woman who doesn't require it. And the reason I'm talking about this is because like I said, I love at the end that Sandy's like, yeah, she changed, but she's like, listen, this is what I need. You need to set precedents in relationships, especially to avoid low effort men. Like this man is 44 years old, not buying engagement rings, not putting in any effort, and still end up married. Like honestly, I feel bad for the woman because I understand what it feels like to be 34. Like she has her masters, he has his associates, which like there's a whole dynamic there too of just feeling like, gosh, I just want to be married. I just want to meet my person. And as you get older, your standards start lowering a lot. Like I've been feeling
Mhm.
that a lot lately where I was like, no, I need this, I need this. But as you get older, you start to see everyone else married and that's something that you desire. You start to lower your standards. So you're like, oh, he tastes like Popeyes, whatever. That's fine. Oh, he didn't buy my engagement. Oh, that's fine. Oh, he doesn't actually like really freaking love me. That's fine. Whatever. We're married. Like we're aligned on our goals. That's all I need. Like you start accepting the bare minimum. And it's so funny because they have this whole like Instagram page of them, and they had to turn off comments, they had to turn off everything because everyone
Mhm.
was coming for him, rightfully so, I feel like. But
Yeah. I mean, that makes me so sad for her just because I don't know, like I never want to be in the position to just like get married for the sake of saying that I'm married, you know? I think I heard this there's like a viral video of Tracy Ellis Ross going around right now of her being like, I don't need a man in my life unless he's really actively gonna elevate it. And he goes
mm,
and she's like, and I haven't found that, so I'm just gonna collect lovers as I go right now. And if I don't find that, then I don't find that because my life is like amazing as is, so why am I gonna allow someone into my life, to disrupt that? I
yeah,
want them to elevate it and expand it, which I totally
absolutely.
agree with, like, I just I don't know, like, I think as you get older, you're so much more self-aware, and obviously, like, there's this whole, like, societal pressure of, like, the clock and then, like, the, like, body clock too, so, like, there's so much, like so many pressures from, like, the outside putting onto you, but, I mean, I think, like, the more we just, like, grow and become, like, more self-aware and just, like, aware of just and just, like, learn more,
Mhm.
I don't know, I think your standards should, like, get even more specific,
I
you know?
agree, and I think too, in this situation, like, friends really don't help Mercedes. Because I don't know if you have friends telling you this, I often have friends telling me like, "Oh, you're too picky, just give him a chance. Oh, you want too much, like, just do this," and I feel like that's how people get into situations like this, where they all of a sudden end up. Because the reason I feel like I'm so passionate about this is because the only guy I've ever dated was a bare minimum man. Couldn't
Mhm.
even, like, sit up in his bed to talk to me, like, he was always laying down, like, he could not be bothered to make any sort of effort whatsoever, and I think a part of it is because I had so many people in my friends' ears being like, "Oh, just give him a chance, oh, just" like, again, people trying to tell me about myself, and I
Yeah.
think that's wildly inappropriate just because I have not been in a relationship or I have very little experience in relationships does not mean that you know what I need better than me. It does not mean that what worked for you will work for me, and I just need to get that out because it is so harmful to be telling people like, "Oh, just give them a chance," especially if they know. If it's for external reasons, like maybe they're scared or whatever, but if they just know this person is not gonna work out for me, you are essentially pushing them into potentially a traumatic experience, and that's
Yeah.
not
Yeah. No, I don't have any of those friends in my life, but I totally know the type you're talking about.
yeah.
And those people are so annoying. You're just like, "How about you give them a chance?"
Yeah.
This is not I'm not gonna waste my time.
Exactly. What do you feel like okay, so Sandy and Danny, what do you feel like their love languages are? We're gonna go back to the episode now. Just
I
had to
think
get off that shit.
just need to bring it for a quick bit.
Saving it. Yeah.
Um, I think this is like an act of service type of love. In this
Mm,
case, it's not like the best since like they're both like changing their personalities, and I don't know if that's always for the better, but I think overall, like they're really trying to do what the other like desires.
mm,
And on some level, his is not as extreme, even though, like, I do love seeing him, like, go through all the sports and being, like, consistently bad at all of them. I think it's, like, very charming.
yeah, absolutely.
And I also think, like, since this is a musical, it's also words of affirmation. And since the first scene, he really, like, verbally assures her throughout their whole love story. Like, whenever she needs that type of comfort, it's always, like, his words. Um, yeah. So I don't know. I didn't go into specifics with both of them because I just think it is a pretty big acts of service movie.
Yeah, I feel like Sandy's is actually quality time. Like, I love when they're just sitting together in his car, like, like they'll sit together in his car and watch a movie, or they'll go to like that Shake Shack and just hang out. And I feel like they even fell in love by just hanging out and spending time together at the beach. So
Yeah.
I feel like Sandy very much values quality time because she doesn't need all of the stuff that like Danny is kind of pressuring her into. But I definitely feel like Danny's is physical touch, like which is mostly attributed to him being a teenage boy, but I definitely feel like it's physical touch. Like,
Yeah, I totally see that. Oh my god.
Okay, so do we feel like this couple lasts 5 years? What do you think?
Okay, like logically, probably not, but they did fly into the sky together and they were singing that they will always be together. So I'm gonna say yes.
Okay, okay, I feel that, I feel like okay, I would say no, but it's nice that a summer love turned into a senior year fling. That doesn't really happen. But I feel like they even address this in the last song when they're all worried about if they're going to see each other again. So I feel like they are kind of aware, like, oh, maybe this is it, and hopefully they're okay with that. You know, maybe Sadie will go back to college in Australia or something. We'll see.
I think they're together forever.
All right, they're together forever. All right, guys, it's time for Heartthrob Mercedes and I to dish about who we had a crush on in the movie. And can I just say, I am sorry if this is inappropriate. I don't know how better way to word this. Kaneki is my wet dream. He
Oh
just,
my
he
god.
just is. I love him in Grease Lightning. Like, he's just so cool in that song. Like, when he lights a cigarette with a freaking
Oh my
torch.
gosh, with the giant, yeah,
Yeah,
that
but then
flame.
he, like, combs his hair back with, like, 2 combs, like,
Yeah.
he's just he's so suave, and I love watching him, and he's also a great dancer too.
Yeah. He is beautiful. I mean, a hickey from Kanicki's like a Hallmark card.
I know. Oh my gosh. Ooh, he's so fun. Who is your heartthrob?
My heartthrob is obviously Danny Zuko. He's
Obviously.
truly like the original love of my life. And like if that's wrong, then I don't want to be right. He has a lot of flaws and I love him through and through.
I respect it. Danny is very hot, but he stands nothing on Kaneki. Like, Kaneki's my boy.
Oh,
All right, guys, it's time for Mary Smooch Ghost. We have Danny, Kaneki, and Vince Fontaine. Mercedes, who you marrying, who you smooching, and who are you ghosting?
obviously I married Danny. And then I want a hickey from Kanicki, so I'll smooch him. And Vince Fontaine is a predator. He lurks on Marty. And then she says at the drive-in that he tried to put aspirin in her drink at the dance. So he is literally a predator and no.
Oh my
So he's
gosh.
gone.
I missed that part, and I've seen this movie many times.
She says it quick, yeah.
Okay. So I'm marrying Kaneki. I just feel like I need that kind of tension in my life. Like I need that. I'm going to smooch Danny. How could I not? Just has such a perfect face. And then yeah, definitely ghosting Vince Fontaine. Like, but even still, before I found out that he tried to put aspirin in her drink, like
Yeah.
still ghosted him. We're gonna ghost him. We're gonna leave him over.
Even his line where he's just like, "Do your parents know I sneak into your bedroom every night and watch you?" I'm like, is that like hot to somebody? Like, oh my god, I would have run away.
No, maybe it's supposed to be comedy. You know, the sense of humor was different back then. Guys, before we wrap it up, we always love to bring in a pop culture moment. And as we expressed in the beginning of this episode, Olivia Newton-John passed away on Monday, and it's just so surreal. She was just such an icon that lived such an amazing life, and I hope that she was happy towards the end and really understood the impact that she made on us.
Yeah, through so many elements of pop culture. If you think about her music, if you think about just like the impact of this film, and honestly, even like I was such a Gleek in high school, and like seeing her guest star on Glee too. Like she answered the phone one sheet, and she's just like, "This is Olivia Newton-John. The I played Sandy in the most iconic movie ever."
Yeah.
And I'm just like, "Yep, yes, you did."
Yeah. You have
And
the right to say that.
she's just so great, and
Mhm.
yeah, this
I
was
love that.
special. Also, I want to say justice to the sequel, Grease 2. I love it. It's good, despite what other people say. It is a fun. It's camp.
Isn't it? It's the one with Michelle Pfeiffer, right?
Yes.
I
The
have not
songs
seen
are
it.
so it's absurd. Like if you think this one is over the top, that one you're like, okay. But
Maybe that's why it bombed at the box office. Because the thing is, there were actually, because of the success of the first one, there were, talks to do a second and third one, but after the second one bombed, the third one like never came to fruition. So
it's not good in the way that you want it to be good. But if you take it for what it is, it's brilliant.
I will give it a watch then.
And I don't know if you saw, but Paramount Plus has a new show in the works called Grease: Rise of the Pink Ladies, and they started filming in January of this year. So I'm sure we'll hear more about it soon.
I love that.
I
That's so
know.
good. I love that.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Will you ask me a question?
Oh my gosh, yes. Kendra, who's your favorite pink lady? I need to know.
Yeah, my favorite pink lady is Rizzo. I absolutely love her. I think she's funny. I think she's so cool. I love that she's rocking the short hair and she just like is sure of herself. And I think I'm envious of the attitude that she carried in high school because I wish I had more of that energy. So
Yeah, she's
I
so
definitely
cool.
love it. Who's your favorite pink lady, Mercedes?
Marty.
Yeah.
Marty is so amazing. I love how she like sprays perfume on all her letters. I always think about doing that anytime I write a letter
Yes,
because of her. And her outfits are just the best. I love her green dress at the dance. And I just think she's just like so effortlessly cool.
she is, and she's very beautiful. Love.
Yeah.
But audiences, we want to hear from you guys. Who is your favorite Pink Lady? What do you think about Grease? What is your favorite song? How did Olivia Newton-John's career impact you? You can let us know your thoughts. Slide to our DMs at Meet Cute. Again, I'm Kendra. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Ken10Hollywood.
Yes. And I'm Mercedes. You can find me on IG, TikTok, and Twitter at MercedesGB11. And if you're looking for new rom-coms, follow Meet Cute wherever you listen to podcasts and follow Meet Cute on socials everywhere. Bye, everybody.
We'll see you next week.